Is it showing up?
Well, I refreshed. Does not appear to be showing up right now.
Says it's live.
It's nothing.
It's nothing.
There's nothing there.
No, it is there.
Is it?
Right there. Right
Where?
here.
Oh, well, click on it. Should we be talking right now? Should we be? You know, this is that boring part of the intro where everybody's going, well, I wish they'd get on with it.
All right. So we've got Mike Mers from and SV something. SV semi-retired. MV motor vessel semi-retired from Port Canaveral. Oh, we have people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Javier, Brian, Shondi. Hey guys.
Well, glad somebody's out there today.
We have had a lot of crazy in our life, so we thought we would do a live update because we don't have any video footage right now. We have a lot of things about little pieces of projects, but not a full episode.
Right. It's been kind of crazy. We've had some serious car troubles. We're without a car entirely right now, so I guess you could say this is preparing us for real boat life.
Right.
We're borrowing a van because the truck is still in San Antonio being worked on, and the second ball joint on the van broke, luckily in the driveway of a house 3 days ago.
Yeah. But most of our YouTube followers don't actually know what's going on because you don't follow us on Instagram. So
Instagram is a good
go to
place
Instagram, subscribe to us, follow us on Spoondrifter, and you will know what in the world we're talking about.
So if you guys have any questions while you're online with us here, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. But that's we've been kind of gone from the boat almost for a month here, mostly gone, doing some work. Tammy had to fly back to Alaska for like 10 days, do some doctor's stuff for Abigail, and clear out the last vestige remnants of our anchor life of land life in Alaska.
He says that. There's always that stuff, you know, the taxes and the pictures.
The 5 totes of stuff that you've wheedled everything down to that you go through and go, why do I still need 4 of these totes?
Right. But we did manage to get rid of all of Todd's tools that he'd been hanging on to that we've replaced down here. So let's see. Mike is in Texas. Awesome. We've got somebody from Iceland. Hey, cool. Ipswich, UK, Mexico, Ireland. This is super cool. So
right, it was awesome.
Brian says he can relate. He just replaced the entire cooling system on their family vehicle.
Yeah, we did that on the truck. Every single part.
Yeah. And we're kind of dripping warm.
We turned off the air conditioner so you could hear us.
Yeah, because otherwise it makes a lot of noise, and you probably get that. And we're coming up on that in the videos again, that we'll have to be fighting the air conditioning noise because it was 94 degrees yesterday.
Right.
It was so warm. We've put the covers back in our boat windows, portholes. I don't know what they're called. You know what I mean.
So Brian, Souza, and Javier Benacourt both say, how long before we're in the water? Always the question.
That's the big question that everybody wants to know. So maybe you guys have some opinions because we are bumping up against hurricane season.
Right.
And the thing about hurricane season is that Corpus Christi is not a bad place to be because we're on the edge of what gets hit.
Kind of the edge of the cone. They have that cone of the probable damage from a hurricane, and Corpus Christi's right on the edge.
We're on the outside edge. Now, there were 3 named storms last year, and they're saying that this year will be similar.
We're going to possibly affect our area.
Right.
There's more than that.
Well, right. The 3 that came over here and bothered us. So, and then a lot of people say you should stay on the hard
through hurricane season. I think we're going to ignore that. We're going to go in the water as fast as we can. Our goal right now is toward the end of May, getting in the water, whether we go anywhere or not is probably the real question because of hurricane season. I don't really want to sail across the Gulf or to Florida during hurricane season unless I'm pretty confident I can get there before a hurricane forms that becomes an issue.
Well, and we don't want to miss the Gulf Coast.
Right, we don't.
That's one of our big goals, is to actually explore across the Gulf Coast of Texas. My first experience living on a boat was going from Pensacola to Texas on a boat, and we took the GICW.
Gulf ICW.
Anyways, it has different names. But we did that, and I just fell in love with that, and I know that a lot of people don't like that, but we think it would be a really easy transition for our kids to learn the systems and learn living on the boat without adding the sailing aspect of it, to just get from Houston to on the other side of New Orleans and then start sailing in between the barrier islands along the Gulf there, which is just beautiful. We love that area.
Which would be really awesome to do. So we don't want to miss it, but lots of you are saying get in the water. You know, Wayne G and me saying hello, and also come through to the Pacific. That will happen, but that's probably a 5 or 6 year plan. Since we don't want to cross the Panama Canal right now because of the cost and everything else, we'll probably do this side of stuff before we do that.
Yeah, I don't know about 5 years. We might be able to do it faster than that because we have so much family on the Pacific side of the United States, and we really want to do that.
It just depends on how, you know, we're advocates of slow travel. When we go to a new area, we like to kind of hang out for a while and see what's there and get to know the people and the culture a little bit. There's no way I can keep up with Keith on sailing Zatara. You know? 2-3 days in an area, boom, 5,000 miles the other way, and
and his boat's a lot faster than ours.
So I can't do that. But you know, so the Pacific will be a while.
Yeah, but getting in the water, that's where we're at. Is we're really thinking in the next 4 to 6 weeks we can be in the water. Here's the things that we still have to do to actually get in the water. There's a lot more things before we can move onto the boat, but we have been working just in the last couple of days on finishing all the plumbing. We had a couple of through holes and we missed one, so we had to order it, that goes to the motor, not an engine, the motor.
The electric motor.
Yeah, it has it's water cooled, and so it needs a water exhaust.
Well, we have it. We've just been debating on not replacing it because it still works.
That's the input.
Oh, you're talking about the output. The unvalve, just the over, you know, above the water line. It's just a little.
So we ordered that, and then we have all of the plumbing below the water line buttoned up so that nothing can come in that shouldn't come in.
Yeah, because we don't want to sink the boat because we forgot to, you know, hook up at the end of a hose somewhere.
Right. So
it's like, oh yeah, there's 2 hose clamps on that. Well, why is it draining into the front of the boat?
Right. So we're working on that. We have to put barrier coat on the last few little places where the stands are and do that. All of these things are like little tiny things. Right. The biggest piece is that we have to put the helm station back in and hook up the hydraulics and make sure that that all works. And the piece that is the biggest piece that's going to take us the most time is the Bimini. And a lot of people would say don't do that, but it's huge and it's very bulky and would be difficult for us to get to and from the boatyard, or not the boatyard, from the marina. Right. Because it's like 10 feet wide.
No, it's 8. It's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is, because we're 13 feet on the boat, but it's pretty wide, and it's also pretty long because it covers pretty much the whole cockpit.
Right. So it's like 10 by 12.
And we're doing a fiberglass top on it. And we figured it's going to be a lot easier to do fiberglass top in the boatyard than try to figure out how to do that in a marina or something. No neighbor in a marina is going to want you sanding fiberglass next to their boat.
Yeah, marinas don't like that, at least the ones where we have access to. So get that Bimini done, finish the bottom paint, hook up the pedestal. That's the things that have to be done. Oh, and you got to do the wiring coming into the boat.
A little bit of wiring, but we can pull
just
that
a little,
right.
So that when we get to the marina, we can actually plug the batteries back in.
Yeah, otherwise we've got to run an extension cord through the cockpit, which we're trying to avoid. Yeah. So put the plug in. But yeah, so let's see. We've got Mike asked how much solar are we going to add. Right now we have 5 panels, 320 watts. So that's what, 1,500, 1,600-ish watts right there.
Mhm.
And we have room for 2 more panels, but they got to be smaller panels because these are almost 40 inches wide by, I think they're 72 inches tall. And so on the Bimini, I'm going to have to drop the 2 front ones down to maybe 4 feet wide, 2 feet wide, 30 inches by like 4 feet.
It's a smaller
I don't know what
space.
that would add up to be, but we don't own those yet. So right now we have
1,600
watts of solar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's assuming I can get all 3 panels that size on the dinghy davit.
Yeah. So we have new dinghy davits, and that is not installed, but that is something that we can do at the marina. Then before we can move aboard, we have to do all the fun stuff, which is like replace the cushions and put beds in here. And
that's fun stuff because I don't have to do it. She's the seamstress. It's like I get to watch.
Well, and it's all the fun colors and making it look pretty, like all of that stuff. Todd will still have to do the DC wiring.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
but
yeah.
that stuff is the stuff that we can do while we can still go out and learn how to sail the boat.
Yeah, because we don't need too much of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have electric winches and things other than the windlass, so we can still use the boat while we're doing that kind of stuff.
And that's the plan. The plan is to go to the marina, and while we're finishing up the inside little stuff that makes it nice for us to live aboard, we can take it out for day sails and just learn how to use it, because that's something that we're a little nervous about.
Yeah, we have to admit it. There are some mental blocks there in taking your own boat out for the first time that you've never been on before and actually using it. So we're working on the plan for that.
I mean, and it's just a learning curve. It's just another new thing that we will.
One of the real awesome things about being here for 2.5 years is we have a lot of friends now that have been through this boatyard that all have boats. In fact, right behind us right now is a captain of a sailing school, and we have already been talking with him. He says, yeah, I'd love to take you out on your own boat. You know, I do that all the time with people. Take them out on their own boat so he can show us how to work our own boat. Sometimes that's nicer than just going to a school and a generic boat, you know, or one that's way smaller than yours.
Yeah. I think that's what makes us nervous, is how big this boat is. And we know from the Morgan group that we belong to that it doesn't back up very well, and it's really slow to respond. And we live in an area where there's a lot of shallow water. So
a lot of oil platforms.
We just had a friend go in the water here, and he said he hit a couple of times.
He hit bottom twice going to the marina from
just
the
boatyard. Just a bump, not a big deal.
But he's got a 6.5-foot draft, and we're only supposed to be 5.5.
Yeah.
So we got people on here from Ontario, Canada. From let's see, who was the other? Let's see, Ontario. Where's Ontario? That's Ian y'all. I'm sorry, I haven't butchered names because I'm not very good at all those names. But glad to have you from Ontario, our neighbors to the north. Drop the Hammers from St. Louis, Missouri, and let's see.
So Mike asked.
Yeah, how fast we could go on.
Fast we can go on 1,600 watts?
I don't know. I'd have to do the math on that and see what it is. Bellingham, Washington, Salt Lake City, Santa Cruz, California. A bunch of you guys are putting it on now, so it's kind of cool having these people. Somebody from Liverpool was saying come to Wales and then see us in Liverpool.
Absolutely, that is on our list.
Right here. That was Philip Eccles. Yeah, definitely. And we do want to go in Ireland. We want to go through the Caledonian Canal.
No, that's Scotland.
Or Scotland, sorry. Caledonian Canal in Scotland. So we'll be up in that whole area up there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Total Boats in the house. We love your products.
Right.
They just make our boat look great. And their color, everybody loves the color. We just have people stop constantly telling us how pretty our boat is. So your products rock.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. In fact, Alan Onderdock says Total Boat is here. Love your products. Yep. So we do appreciate that. Total Boat has really helped us out a lot. But man, this color pops.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does pop.
All right, so put your questions in there and we will answer them. The kids are at home today because we have
This van only has 2 seats in it.
2 seats in the vehicle, so they were just really sad that they had to stay home and work on their play on their computers and tablets.
We don't typically work on the boat on Sundays. We usually go to church and stuff, but there's no way we could take everybody today in the van, so
we thought we would come say hi to you, and we really appreciate you guys showing up. It's really hard that we don't have comments in our regular videos, and we really encourage you. We put a post on Facebook and we put one on Instagram every week for you to come over and chat with us about what's happened in that week's video, because we enjoy hearing from you. We enjoy hearing your suggestions and telling us your experiences or just saying hi.
Right.
It's just fun to get to know you.
Scott Sanford wants to know, how many children do we have?
We have 10 children. So right now we only have 3 left at home. So everybody else has flown the coop, and we have 2 unmarried adult children and our 3 that are still at home. We have 7 grandchildren.
Generally, the next question is, are they all yours?
Yes.
And are there any twins, triplets, quadruplets?
No, there's not.
I say we got them the hard way, one at a time.
Yeah. So back to the 1600 watts.
Harry and Surus 99 says Cooley's going for a week sailing in Scotland in June. So yeah, we'd love to have you let us know how that worked out for you and what that's like. Splashing, again, we answered a little bit earlier, but we're hoping the end of May, and we'll probably stick around here. So yeah,
1600 watts, how fast can we go? So the motor bank itself can power the boat at hull speed, which is 8 knots for our boat, for like 20 minutes. So then going 3 to 4 to 5 knots, like the slower you go, the longer you can go. And it's been a few years since we've actually looked at that schedule, but it was like something like 5 hours if we're going 4 knots. And why we have, and that's with no input, that's just the batteries. So being able to add the generator, which is why we have the generator, we can basically go unlimited amount of time as long as we have diesel in the generator. We will also carry you called it a suitcase generator? A small generator, which will also enable us, the rigging doctor, if you haven't
the rigging
subscribed
doctor,
to
Alan
them.
mentioned him. Alan, rigging doctor, Alan says rigging doctor does about 2.5 knots on 30 amps. Their boat's very similar to ours. Their motor's a little smaller. It's a 20 kilowatt. Ours is a 30 kilowatt motor. So it'll be probably pretty close.
Yeah.
2.5 to 3 knots on 1600 watts of solar.
But they are currently going up the ICW on their YouTube channel, so check them out. We'll put a link down in the description below, where they are going. They have a little Honda 2000 generator, and we have we have a Yamaha
2000 generator.
And so that can be placed on the deck, and that can help power it.
And we also have our
can keep going.
We have a 5 kW, 5,000 watt diesel generator that we really don't want to use very much. But if we have a real emergency for charging or need to get somewhere, we can fire that up.
Yeah, if we need to like go 8 knots, that thing will do it.
Right, that'll do pretty good. So let's see. Scott Sanford wanted to know, what other blogs do we watch?
Oh, the ones that we watch a lot of YouTube, and it really depends on how our day is going, but that's how we like to unwind at the end of the day. The ones that we follow, like, just no matter what they put out, we watch The Rigging Doctor, we watch Wild We Roam, we watch
Bums on a Boat.
I'm trying to think.
We do watch Zatara.
Salty Escape. And The Foster Journey. Those guys are new YouTube channels, and we're in the same boat where we're fixing our boats and getting ready and leaving. Yeah, and there's all the big ones that we catch up on every once in a while, but those are our main.
Right, those are our main ones.
Main ones that we check out on a regular basis.
So Brenda White wanted to know if any of our family has had any sail lessons. could do any sail lessons, or have we had any instructions on our own boat. We want to do that on our own boat. Tammy and I, we've not taken any formal classes where like we paid for classes. We have both participated as crew on boats.
Yeah, we both have. I have over 1,000 miles going from Tampa to Charleston on a 50-foot Gulf Star, and helping as crew and doing night watches. And the reality is, yes, I need to learn more technical things about like moving the sails and those kinds of things. But in terms of like learning, like, you can't beat just getting on a boat and actually doing it, because you just learn. You have to learn how to figure out if those are red or green lights coming towards you, and going through the shipping channels and those kind of things. Todd went from Hawaii to Alaska, which was...
Well, it was 19 days to get to Alaska from
how many
Hawaii. I think it was right around 3,000, 3,500. I think we figured.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That we did that. I was 29 days on that boat.
Yeah.
Which was 2 summers ago.
And so they just went in a straight path. Yeah. And so that was a completely different experience. We were talking about that the other day as we're talking about where to put beds and lee cloths and things like that for passages. And Todd's experience was completely different than mine, because they had a lot of large sea states where I'm like, that's not a problem. And he's like, yes, it is. Yeah.
I mean, if your berth is too wide, even with a lee cloth, you're rolling all the way over, rolling all the way over, rolling all the way over before you hit things. And yeah, you can put pillows up against things, but you want to wedge yourself in there with pillows so that you don't roll. And the wider your berth is, the more crap you have to wedge in there to keep it from moving.
My experience, we never had that kind of weather. I slept on a couch without a lee cloth. So.
And if it was not my day to have the lee cloth, because in the V berth they only had one, and you switched it. You know, depending on who it was. If we were both sleeping in there because of a watch schedule, sometimes we overlap by a couple hours, and he would have it. You know, you're sleeping on your side with one knee way out, trying to keep yourself from flipping over, and it was a real problem. But so Al Coppers asked, don't you need to have a minimum speed of 10 knots to go through the Panama Canal? And I don't believe that's true, because most sailboats can't go 10 knots
fast.
No. And they do it all the time in the Panama Canal. Yeah, I think they're
and there's 2 canals, and so there's a smaller one that recreational vehicles go through. And I know that Zatara talked about going through with a boat that couldn't keep up, and so the next time they went through, they weren't actually with that boat. So we'll figure it out.
There is some leeway. There is some leeway. David Miller says, hope you come to Ireland sometime, but bring your long johns. Yeah. Being from
Alaska, we totally get that.
Yep. Hello from Sweden. Love your videos. Cold North Adventure. Thank you for being here, guys. Hello from Virginia. Alan says, Mark S. from Virginia. Alan Osterdock says, take the ASA courtesy course, or take the ASA courses. They will pay for themselves in insurance costs. That would be true, but our boat is so old. I don't know if you guys understand or not. Some of you may or may not have sailboats right now, but we have a lot of friends that have older boats, and they are unable to get insurance.
Yeah.
Insurance companies will not insure them, even for liability. And it is becoming a real problem for insurance. I'm finding it all over on the people that we talk to, the different groups for sailing people. They're having a hard time finding insurance. Now ours so far has kept us, and they told us if we had a survey that they would get us insurance. But yes, you're right. The sailing classes would help keep that down.
Currently we have liability insurance, and they told us once we get a survey that they would insure us. But it's all kinds of crazy, and you can hear lots more about insurance. We do follow that we just talked about insurance. Gone with the Wynns.
Oh, Gone with the Wynns.
Gone with the Wynns just did a recent video all about the challenges that, they have all kinds of experience and they can't get insurance, right? Like, it's a whole thing.
They have a completely different class of boat than ours. But yeah, and we could probably get like, what do they call it? Like an inland marine policy, where you just state a value for your boat and you pay, but it's a really high rate. Those would probably be easier to get than a standard insurance policy. So, David Miller says, hi guys, have the children had any interest in sailing themselves? Gabe, Abigail, and Liberty?
So we have a different philosophy than a lot of people do with children. Our children don't run our life. They're along for the ride, and we want them to be happy, but we recognize that they don't always know what they don't know. And so our kids are nervous about sailing and deep water and aren't sure what it's going to be like. They really have nothing to
no frame of reference.
No frame of reference. And so they're nervous about it. I would not say that they're super, super excited.
Right. Not yet.
Not yet, but they will be.
They should come around to
Yep.
that. So Alice Coppers asked again, what are you going to do if no insurance will cover you? And,
We'll be uninsured.
Right now we have liability. And I think
into marinas.
I think we probably could keep the liability. I don't think that they'll cancel that on us. But as far as that goes, you just have to be careful, because it's just like a car. If I, my van only has liability insurance, and we lost the ball joint on the freeway at 70 miles an hour and did some damage to the van, I had to pay for it all. That's just the way it is, because I only had liability. And so that's how we tend to live that way.
Yeah.
It's up to us to make good decisions. It actually makes us make good decisions.
Yep, and you just be a little more cautious.
Yep.
And the reality is, when you start to get out into the world, especially the world that we are in, where we're in a boatyard where people are doing their own work, is very common for people to not have insurance because their boats are older and they can't afford it.
So Court says, oh my gosh, I finally caught a live stream. Yeah.
It's been a while. I don't think we've done a live for like 2 years.
Glad to have you here, Court. Yep. So, yeah, insurance is a whole big thing that we'll have to really do some deep diving when we actually start leaving the United States. For now, liability is good, but I don't know what other countries require. And I think most of them only require the actual liability. But
yeah, they want to make sure that if
you damage something it'll be covered.
Fix it.
But we do need to find out if our policy will cover us even with that out of the country.
Right.
So, yeah, insurance is a tough deal right now. So, Wayne G and me Sailing says try Progressive for insurance. I've heard people trying Progressive and they still weren't insuring them either.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're not in a place where we need to do that right now. And that's part of the thing, is that I've personally been really stressed out the last couple of months. Just feeling the anxiety to get in the water that is taking so long. We're coming up on 3 years, and that just feels absolutely ridiculous. And then I start looking at other boats who've done a major refit like us. Odd Life Crafting, they've been at it for 4 years. I'm like, okay, I'm not the longest refit out there. And they're still not sailing yet, or at least on their videos, they aren't sailing yet. We don't follow them religiously, so I don't really know what they're up to, but they've taken 4 years to do their refit. Project Atticus did 3 years on a really little boat, and still had so much more that needed doing before they left. One of the things for us, we're not willing to move on board the boat with it being
a complete disaster.
One, we have 5 people, and you guys have seen the inside of the boat right now. Can you imagine trying to work in here and live in here when you've got 5 people taking up space? That would be insane. When we built a house in Alaska without a mortgage, and we did that. We lived in it and worked on it, and it's craziness. We've done that, and I don't want to do that to my kids this time. They're having enough anxiety about, and a couple of our kids have anxiety about going offshore and deep water and all of that, but to add chaos inside the boat, that's something I'm not willing to do to them. And there's really no reason to do it, which goes back to my anxiety the last couple of months of like, we've got to get this done, we've got to get this done. And yes, we want to get it done and we want to get in the water, but at what cost?
Right.
And my sanity, my children's sanity, if nobody enjoys it, then what's the point? You know, some days we have Todd's working all week long, and then we are like, should we go do something fun? The kids are asking to go do something fun. And we're like, we need to go work on the boat. it's not fun after 3 years. Working at the boat is not, it's another chore, it's another job.
Still kind of our happy place to be here. We
Todd
still
and
are
I
happy
feel
when
like
we
that.
come here. The kids have a hard
The kids
time.
are not, that's not what they're asking for when they've had a long day
Yeah.
of doing other things
Right.
or a long week. So we have to remember that it is not the destination, it is the journey that matters, and how we experience it along the way is really more important than how fast I get in the water. As I want to get in the water, like, seriously,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
You will remember points along the journey much more than you will the end of it.
And
you
we've done
So-
this before. When we first got in our RV and left the first time, we were on a schedule. I was teaching photography classes, and we had specific places we had to be. And then Todd was jumping in an airplane and flying back to Alaska and doing classes in Alaska and doing work up there. So we had this schedule that we had to keep. And
Which is really
it was
hard.
really hard, and we got back after the first
First time out.
We were gone for 7 months, and I looked back on that and I was like, we had very few pictures. There was no pictures of me. I was a basket case the whole time, and I'm like, that was not
It wasn't fun.
fun.
I mean, it was literally you planned everything around I got to be in Pennsylvania on the 12th. And so, but we only have 10 days to get there, so we can't really enjoy the route along the way. It was just a real
And
pain.
so we
Wasn't any
have
fun.
learned a lot about
Mhm.
traveling as a family, and we forget sometimes, but we try to remember that we have to enjoy the process
Right.
of getting where we're going, because that's what actually matters. You get to where you're going, and if then you're just looking for the next place that you're going and the next place you're going, you never enjoy the moments. And we have done this. We've actually been traveling for 8 years now, and we're starting to remember more often to slow down and take that time.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. But wow. So let's see. Ms. Visionaire Productions says hi and love you all from Nova Scotia. Thank you.
Hey.
Wayne J. Me Sailing says, as much as I am over the refit on my boat, reality is travel for past year and future is never going to be like it was. I'm so grateful I have a home, and it is keeping me busy through COVID. I mean, COVID's a whole nother question for travel. That's one of the reasons why we're probably going to stick around the United States a little bit longer. It's just we want other
Things to
countries
settle
to
down.
settle and come down with something consistent you can deal with. Right now, it's still all over the map. And in fact, it's interesting because we follow the rigging doctor, and they're traveling across the country, and they will say, well, this country says they're closed, but we'll pull in and they let us check in and everything.
Yeah.
And so you just don't know what's really going on. And so once it settles a little bit and everything kind of mellows out, it'll be easier to plan where you're going to go.
Yeah, we agree. We think that it's probably never going to be the same again,
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but it's where we're at. And so rather than worry about it, we're going to take the time to see our own country right now. There's a lot of beautiful places to enjoy, and that plan, like we were talking about earlier, is along the Gulf Coast. We really want to explore the Gulf Coast, explore Florida, go out to the Dry Tortugas, that area up the East Coast. Mexico is a really good option still right now.
Yeah.
So in the foreseeable next year or two, our plan looks like Mexico, if it continues to be a really good place to go, that's not crazy with the COVID restrictions, because one of the challenges, lots of people are going to the Bahamas and they just pay for the cost of the tests and things. But we have 5 people, and we're
Right.
on a pretty tight budget. And so you start paying for the test before you leave, and then paying for it when you get there, and it gets to be a little bit cost prohibitive. The other option is you can sail directly, go east from the east coast of the United States, and then drop down into Puerto Rico and the USVI, which stays in our own country. And that's something that we're also considering in the next 2 years of the places that we want to explore that will get us offshore.
Yep. Rocky Star says plan for pets on board.
Yeah. Well,
That
so we
is
now have a dog. We have Denali, and she is a little 9-pound. She's a Terry Poo, so she looks like a schnauzer.
Looks like a schnauzer.
And so that's going to be a whole thing, is to teach her how to go potty on deck. And we've been talking to lots of you about how to do that over on Instagram and Facebook, which is a really good place to come talk to us about what's going on in our life on the everyday thing. And we have promised our daughter Abigail that she can have a cat. She has wanted a cat for many years.
I have constantly said that will never happen. I am being outvoted.
I hear that cats are really good at keeping like bugs and rodents and things down in a boat.
Cockroaches, so we're not entirely opposed. The interesting thing is some of you may or may not know, Abigail has a heart condition. Well, as a baby, we had a cat in the house, and that cat would curl up next to Abigail and just purr, because the noise of her heart and heart squishy valves, the cat loved and took as purring.
Purring.
And so the cat would just, and I don't know, somehow that caused Abigail to be a total cat lover person. Yeah. And so, because we have a dog, that Liberty wanted a dog, we kind of thought we needed a cat for Abigail. That makes it a little harder for traveling.
It was easier for me to say yes when I heard that they're really good about keeping bugs and things down.
That's what gets her going.
But
cockroaches, eat cockroaches. I'll have 5, please.
Yeah, we have a daughter in Alaska who is a super animal person in Haycomber, and we have a plan with her that if we get into a situation where we're not able to keep our animals while we're traveling, she will take care of them for us.
Right. So Daddy's Rex says, saying hi from Southwest Florida. Glad you're here. Terrence Smith saying hi from New Orleans. Glad you're here too, Terrence. And Rudd Steibler, hello from Germany. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
somebody
Scott,
in Salt Lake.
Let's see it. Well, yeah. Scott Stanford says, go to the Great Salt Lake. I'm not sure. Isn't the Great Salt Lake pretty shallow too, typically? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, Todd's from Utah, so
right?
We've been there.
Yep, we've been there. Eileen Y'all says, when will you all be eligible for the vaccines? I think we're technically kind of all eligible now, aren't they? Have they opened it all up for everybody? Yeah, so.
We had COVID the first part of January. We were all fine. And so we're waiting to let everything, the dust settle, because every other day you've got somebody having a problem with this and somebody having a problem with that. And since we had it and we did okay, we're kind of going to let the dust settle on things before we go there.
We figured letting dust settle is a good thing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of dust on the boat right now outside in the boatyard.
Which is one reason we got to get in the water. It is so dirty, it's just disgusting.
Daniel says, what's up from Canada? Glad to have you here, Daniel. So, yeah, but we're really working. End of May, we want to get in the water.
So here's the question for you. So, should we do a live when we splash the boat? And just because you say yes doesn't mean we are. We're kind of nervous to have that be like.
Well, there's a couple things, and I guess we could also film it regular, but lives don't get the good repeated view time because, you know, people come on afterwards and it's like, what's the point, you know?
Yeah.
So we do want to do an episode of us splashing for sure, but the question is, should we also throw a live feed up while that's happening too? Now, we're not likely to go anywhere when we splash initially. We'll probably end up tying up at the dock overnight and making sure everything is working. Good. And one of the challenges that we have, that we know we have as an issue in this boatyard, being on the hard for this long, is we've had some settling on the boat with the keel and with the sides of the boat changing shape a little bit. They've moved our boat twice in the yard, and each time they've moved us, the floor leveling was all different, which means that there is something that's going on with that, and our engine room area.
Wait. You make that sound terrible.
Well, no, it's just, it's typical normal. We're only talking 3/4 of an inch to an inch maybe of movement overall through the whole boat in the keel. But what we don't know is how that is going to affect the alignment of the motor to the prop shaft.
Yeah.
And so we want to put the boat in the water, and we want to let it settle a little bit and make sure that that alignment hasn't suddenly, you know, shifted a little bit and now it's out of alignment, because I don't want to create a bearing issue that I'm not aware of immediately from the first time we're in the water. So
yeah, and Todd's also nervous about like doing live about bumping into things or not working.
Right. So yes, yes, live splash. I'll take a vacation day, Court says.
There you go.
Right. And Daddy's Rex says, have the kids record our 2 reactions. Now that probably would be a good thing right there.
Yeah,
So,
and then if we do a live for that, we'll have to have some extra people help us record, because when you're splashing the boat, we've helped a few other people go in the water. There is so much going on that trying to film it and do live is actually really difficult.
Right, yeah. Philip Eccles says, no need for a live. Think of the stress involved. Yeah, there is stress involved, that's for sure. Yep. And Alan, yes, I know there's some flexible alignments for the shafts that would help. And we've definitely explored those for sure. I just want to see how much it changes. I know those flexible ones, they're not going to take 3/4 of an inch out of it, but you know, they'll take, you know, 1/16 or 1/8 probably without too much of a problem. So, yeah, how do we plan to keep our children interested?
I mean, what's their choice?
You have no choice, child. No, we actually think that once we're on the boat and we're able to move around and go to some different anchorage places and get in a dinghy and go explore, Gabe can get where he can be fishing on the boat. He'll be able to, you know, he's old enough and stuff, he can take the dinghy out on his own. And we're in some good clear water where they can do some snorkeling and stuff and sit on some beaches. I think that will help make it.
We are not in clear water when we get to clear water.
Yeah, when we get to some clear water.
And I think that that's going to be the key. The key when we first got here and it was new and exciting and there was a lot going on, and when the boat was in the water and they got to play in the water around the boat, we didn't have a problem. Right. But it's been 3 years of just really a lot the same thing. And this is Todd and I's dream, and the kids are along for the ride. And one of the things that we really subscribe to is that by our living our dreams, we show our kids that they can live theirs. Our children aren't afraid to, our adult children are not afraid to try new things and to go new places, and they have a great example in us that you don't have to wait. That if you've got something you want to do, go and do it. Right. And that never ends. We've done a lot of different things in our life, and we will continue to do new and fun things. And that's a fantastic example. We do these YouTube videos. We started them because we wanted to be able to keep in touch with our kids and our grandkids. And we talk to our grandkids regularly on FaceTime, and they're like, we want to come to your boat. We want to come to your boat. And that is so fun to have that, and to be setting that seed to our grandchildren that you can go and do fun, amazing things with your life, no matter what age you are.
Yep. Court says proper parenting is never a democracy. No, it's a dictatorship. It is a dictatorship. Hopefully a benevolent dictator.
Some days.
So most of the time it is. But I think once they get involved in some stuff, I think their interest will change. I think that right now, actually, the 2 biggest fears they probably have are, 1, leaving behind friends they have here, and lack of internet.
Yeah.
And frankly, when Tammy and I were kids, lack of internet was never an issue. That is a current issue with kids. And we kind of think that is not necessarily a bad thing to lose for a while. But being around the U.S., I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think they'll just have less internet.
Gabriel will be 16
right.
this fall. And we plan on spending basically the next year to 2 years around the United States or United States territories close in this area. And so really at that point, then he will be eligible to go serve a church mission for our church if he chooses to do that. And right. So I think that he's going to be able to stay in touch with his friends. One of the things as our kids get to be the age that he's at is that we put them on an airplane and send them off to family and friends to spend some time. So that's another way that we help them to continue to stay connected with the life that they want to stay connected with.
Right.
What are you laughing
Yep.
at?
Well, Ian, first of all, says internet. What's that? Right? Yeah. And Mike Robinson says another no vote for a live splash. You don't need any distractions. We pretty much yes. Court says, Tammy, can you talk my wife into a PDQ 36-foot catamaran, pretty please? We get this a lot. It'll be like, how do you get your wife on board, right?
Yeah, and the reality is you guys have to figure out your own dreams. What we want to be is an example of what's possible. And so whether you want to do sailing, or you want to do RVing, or you want to do van life, or you want to have a homestead, there's so many things to do, and we try really hard to do things together, and we've done that most of our married life, is to be on the same page. We're best friends, and we do everything together. And so that really, now that being said, it took you a few months to come around to us going in the trailer and starting to travel, right?
It generally takes me a little bit of time to come around.
Yeah.
You know, because that's part of the relationship and part of the work. I mean, we do have two different views of what we think is going to happen in the future, and what we try to do is reconcile and work together to where we come to a common view. Now, we recognize that boating is, we're not saying that a sailboat is forever. What we are saying is that for this future, this immediate future we have, this is our future right now. At some point, we might change our mind. And the same thing goes with where we're going. Yeah. You know, I mean, we might decide, well, we want to cross the Atlantic, or we might say, oh, no, we want to go somewhere else now and catch that later. I don't know. But
you have to be flexible.
We have to, we always start out having different views.
Well, right. And I wanted to go in the trailer, and a lot of people ask me how, how that happened. I just kept talking about it, and I kept talking about the possibilities, and I had pictures around, and I would share things, and I would share vlogs, and I would share stuff, and eventually Todd came from saying, oh, hell no, to, okay,
I don't know. Let's
that
think about
fun.
That, you know, and because, you know, and here's the absolute truth. Sometimes it takes a little bit of people exposing you to things before you see how crappy your life is. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's like, I'm up there in Alaska, I'm working 6 days a week, 10-hour days, and we're doing pretty good. We have a lot of stuff. We got this house that we built mortgage free, that we own, that we're working on. We had property, we had four-wheelers, we had, you know, all kinds of fun stuff. But I realized after the RV thing, her talking about it, that, man, I could sit down and take a break. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm killing myself with all this physical labor all the time, and I'm not really enjoying life very much. I mean, we rarely went camping in Alaska because I was always too busy working. And so sometimes people shed light on things, and then you realize, yeah, you know, my life isn't all that I think it is, and maybe a change would be a good thing. And so that's how we generally get on the same page.
Well, and here's the thing. Like the other night we went to a movie. I don't actually like to go see movies. I would prefer to stay home and watch YouTube. Because I can just do short pieces. My attention span's not very long. Todd likes to go to the theater and sit in the theater and enjoy the theater. And we were planning date night, and I was like, let's go see a movie.
And I'm going, huh? Really?
Right? Not because I want to see a movie, but because I love my husband. So sometimes that enters into dreams and doing things. It's because you try new things and you do different things because it matters to them and you really don't care.
Yeah. Liz Nichols says hi. Hi, Liz. Alan, I'm going to look at that. Look into that plating thing that you're talking about there. Hey,
what's this? Somebody gave us money.
Huh? Oh. Okay.
Wow, I didn't know we had Super
XRP
Chat.
Boss. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. He says, I love watching your journey. Not enough family sailing channels. And that I agree with. More families need to do things, you know, together.
Well, and that's one of the things that we want to start kind of making a little bit of a transition, and you can maybe tell us what you think about that. Right now, this is a refit channel, and a lot of people watch it for the refit and that stuff. And then when we post things where we're not at the boat doing refitting, people are like, duh, they don't watch it.
Right.
But we want it to be about a family and about learning to live on a boat as a family and the things that we're exploring and how we're doing this.
Well, kind of like Tammy said, an example of what's possible. I mean, I don't care what you want to do in your life, it's possible.
Right.
I mean, what I see this little meme running around now that I think my daughter posted. I think it was Albert Einstein basically saying, you know, your imagination will determine what you get in your life.
Yeah. So
you know?
We want to be more of a family channel where it's more about what we're doing every day and how
right.
we're doing it instead of how to fix a boat.
Right.
Yeah.
Fixing a boat is a huge part of the process.
It is a huge part of the process, but I'm kind of like over fixing a boat. One of the things I've realized, what you spend a lot of time doing and watching, you attract to you. I have stopped watching refit boat channels.
Right.
Because I don't want to refit this boat any longer than I have to.
We have to get our vision to change.
We
right?
need to change our vision from working on the boat to sailing the boat.
Right. So, Court, tell your wife that a boat is just an RV on the water.
Yeah, that's a really good point. People don't often understand. If you don't know of SV Totem, Sailing Totem,
right?
Check them out.
They don't have a channel, but they have a blog.
They have a blog. They have a really good blog. And they took 10 years to circumnavigate. They went really slow. They've never had any terrible, horrible storms because they're not in a hurry to go anywhere ever. And so they just take their time. And she talks about that because when we actually paid them to help us pick a boat, and they didn't help us pick this boat. But we did talk to them.
They want us to spend a little more money.
Yeah. We did talk to them, but one of the things that they pointed out was that you spend 5% of your time sailing, and the rest of it is like sitting at docks and sitting in anchorages, enjoying the place that you're at. And so if you buy a boat just because of the things you're going to do sailing, you're missing it. She's like, don't buy your boat completely on what's the best sailing boat. She goes, because that's this little tiny part of what you do.
Right.
When you do RV living, we call them moving days. Moving days are crappy days, and they just take it out of you, and you're all exhausted when it's done. And if you're moving like more than one day, it's like move, 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 and you're just overnighting in Walmart parking lots. Like, that sucks.
Right.
But it's the little tiny part of what you're doing. And the same thing is with sailing, is that you're just, sailing is just to get to the fun part.
Right. And to go out and just enjoy it for the day in a new location. Yeah. It's beautiful.
And
you know?
we enjoy like day sailing. Not everybody does, and you don't have to sail that way.
Right, right. Yep. Wayne G and Me Sailing says, will you guys adopt Wayne G and Me?
Amen.
We have room.
We've got room.
We got room. See, Richard Moore, and I hear you. I'm a welder in North Texas. One day I looked up from my hood and said, there has to be more to life than working just to pay bills.
Yes.
We're an inspiration to them. Thank you. Thank you for that.
A welder in West Texas. You want to come down here and help us?
I'm trying to weld aluminum right now.
We just tackled our first welding, and it was a hot mess.
Yeah, I'm learning, you know.
It's not always pretty.
No, but hopefully it will be pretty when I'm done. So let's see. Time you sailing in Nevera, the time you spend working on your boat is not deducted from your life. Remember that. That's good. That's good advice. Daniel, watching how Todd patiently works around and with the kids are to me key points of your videos, and I'm a father of 4. Thank you for that. That's good. It's sometimes hard. I'm getting better at it, but I've got 10 kids, so I've had practice.
Yeah, he's had a lot of practice.
You know, I worked for my father, and I quit. I quit working for him. And I went and got a job somewhere else. And he's like, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? And I says, well, you know, I'm tired of working for you. All you do is yell at me. And he asked me to come back to work for him, and I did, and he quit. He quit yelling at me.
Yeah.
And I've struggled with that myself. It's hard for me to remember, but he changed, and I appreciated that. And so, yeah, so, you know, with your kids, it definitely is important to have that patience and not destroy them in the beginning. And I find myself starting to sometimes.
Well,
and I try to correct it.
We're not perfect,
right? We're
by
not perfect.
any stretch of the imagination. And yes, having 10 children, my oldest children are like, you are not the same parents that we had. That's one of the benefits of having so many kids is you get to figure it out.
Yeah, Court says aluminum weld faster than you think you should. Yeah. Tammy's all like, slow it down, slow it down. I'm going, no, aluminum's got to go faster, faster. So it's a tough one. But we were dealing with some wind, and that'll be an upcoming video, working on tack welding the feet on the bottom of the Bimini frame up there. She's blocking the wind. I've got a shielding gas. It's the first time I've welded aluminum. And I'm not good with a MIG welder. I'm better with an arc welder.
Yeah. Todd's like, this sucks. There's a reason that they prefer bigger machines.
Well, and mine's only a 110, and so it's a little underpowered for this. And my feet for the Bimini top are 1/4 inch aluminum, which is actually too thick for this welder, which could be part of the problem. I don't know. I'm working on.
Well, we got it tacked.
Right.
And the reason that we had to get it tacked was because our edges of the combing are at a weird angle. So you've got all these weird angles, and we needed the feet to fit
the combing.
And so we put it up on top of the boat and cut everything, the angles, and placed it. And Todd it's ugly as heck. But Todd managed to tack it so that it's in the right place. So then he can go and figure out.
So then we're going to lower it down to the ground and do the final welding all the way around it down on the ground. Because the other thing is we get the splatter up there, and it splatters on the boat and leaves marks, and
it's terrible. I'm like, what have you done? And he's like, we're gonna repaint it. We still have to refinish the top of the boat.
Yep. Daddy's Rex says, I can't imagine 10. My 2 boys think I'm a drill instructor, and my daughter thinks I'm an angel. Yeah, I think we have some of that with us too. And it's kind of fun because, you know, the older kids now, they tell us of the good experiences that they had with us. They tell us of the bad experiences they had with us, which helps us become better too. But we'll sit there on a day and it'll be like, okay, this is 5 out of 10 that have called me today. When am I going to hear from the other ones, you know, or 3 or 4 of them?
Right.
And sometimes it'll be one will call, 5 minutes later another one will call, 5 minutes later another one will call, 5 minutes later another one will call. It's like they're just going through. You'd think they were talking to each other, but they aren't. They're all over the country.
Yeah.
So, but it is fun. I mean, having a big family means we will never be alone in our older years.
Yeah.
Unless COVID comes and they lock us away.
In an old folks home. Todd and I are just gonna sail away and pull all the seacocks when we're done.
That was our joke, because we're just gonna sail off into the sunset, pull the seacocks, and go down with the boat. David Miller says, Tammy, have you watched Jordan and Desiree's discussion of how they wanted to choose a new boat? A lot of that discussion was around what they actually spend time doing. Yeah, we did watch that live video, or we watched a live with them, and we watched them do that. Yes, the time on a boat is different than you think it is. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, I don't know how long we've been live. How long have we been live now?
Does
this doesn't tell me on this one. Well, it doesn't tell me here because I'm not playing it.
I don't know. But we really, really appreciate you guys. One of the things that I have spent this last week doing, because Todd and Gabe were installing cabinets and flooring, and I was stuck in the trailer with no car, is updating our store. And so I'm not sure if it's in the down below the videos where they show you the t-shirts that you can get. So this is one of the t-shirts that you can get that we've got but I designed a whole bunch of new things. I really enjoy doing that. I've got enjoyed colors and textures and things like that.
Pillows and stuff on there.
But new designs that I did are supposed to be showing up now in the bottom of that. And you can go to our website, spoondrifters.com, and click on shop, and it'll take you to where everything is. And if you see something that's not there and you want something specific, let us know and we'll see if we can make it happen, because that's just something else that I enjoy doing. We've opened up our blog on our website, and I'm going to try to start putting more things on that, because we talked a little bit earlier about me feeling anxious, and like all we do is push to get this boat done, which is important, but there's more parts of me. I've started playing the ukulele. I play the piano, but we don't have a piano in our RV. So I picked up the ukulele. I need to get back to doing some writing. I was a photographer in another world. And
which is different than videographer.
Way different than video. I can tell what's wrong with my videos. It drives me absolutely batty, but I just don't have the patience and time right now to really learn how to do it better. I'm working on it.
We'll get there with a Skillshare that all the other things advertise for.
Does that stuff drive you crazy, the Skillshare advertisements? Because we are approved affiliates with them, but I'm like, I don't know that I like those videos where they put the big Skillshare. Tell me what you think.
Yeah, people need to do it.
Yeah, but so I'm just working on me. So I'm going to do some more writing and maybe get out my big camera and do more photography and playing with the ukulele. Those kinds of things. And doing the art for the t-shirts has been really fun.
Right, yep. So let's see. Chester Brandt says hello from Colorado. We appreciate you being here, Chester. Alan says netting for the railings for the dog and cat.
That is, and the kids and the people.
And the people, yeah.
Like, that's on the list. If you know where to find the good stuff, because I've heard that some of it's not UV stable,
well, that's
send us
true.
a
Yeah,
comment.
we need to know where to get the good stuff. Ikeka says we've been at 58 minutes. Bill Carroll says I'm late to the party. Well, Bill, better late than never. You've been around a long time with us anyway.
Love
we
you.
Appreciate you.
Our patrons are so amazing.
Yeah.
We just love it. If you're interested in becoming a patron and being able to really see the stuff that we don't share, one of the things that we do is sometimes Todd makes little videos that don't fit into any story, and so we're trying to put those over on our Patreon. Different things like that, and have conversations. We do a weekly captain's log where I post pictures from the week and tell, like, line by line what we've been doing. So coming over to Patreon, you can get more of us if you haven't got enough of us.
Right. Yeah.
Might be too much.
So, kind of blowing up down here, but so yeah, David Miller says, oh, by the way, you guys are really good at this live stream stuff, the best he's watched. We appreciate that. We appreciate that, David. Yeah. Recycled old nets from the beach. That might be interesting.
I don't know.
So yeah,
I saw a boat that had an old fishing net, and so it was green. It was beautiful because I'm all about the colors, you know.
Right.
But I was like, "Where did you get that?" And she was like, "It was one of a kind thing."
Yep. So yeah, it's been fun. Getting pretty hot in here, but we probably ought to be wrapping this up pretty quick. If you got any other quick questions, let's fire them up down here. Let's see.
Yeah, it is hot. Yeah. We said at the beginning of this,
Thanks, Court. We'll see you.
We turned the air conditioner off so that you guys could hear us. So Todd's like, whoa.
Yep. So I know that. Hold on here. I'll probably have to go take this call, but.
Yeah. So we're gonna say goodbye because the person that's loaning us the van needs to come get the van, and we need to give it to them. So we really appreciate you guys today.
We'll be back to Carlos again for the day walking. So thanks so much for participating with us, and we'll try to do this more often. Bill, in your defense, we didn't give any notices.
We did not. We just thought, I don't have a video. I felt really bad, and we were like, we could do a live. So maybe if this is something that really works for you and you enjoy it, tell us down below. There will not be comments on it. I don't think you get to do the comments in the live, but there probably won't be comments after the fact. So come over to Facebook, come over to Instagram, talk to us, tell us that you enjoyed it, and we'll maybe try and make this a regular event.
Woohoo!
All right.
All right. See you
Bye-bye.
later, guys. Thanks.